Hi, I'm Rhonda Burton, and this is my show. I'd love to have you join me. This is a new process for me. It is monoprints of some botanicals that I had collected, and I painted an emulsion called cyanotype, which is blueprint and created in the mid-1800s. Okay, this one is a combination of what's called heavenly bamboo and a couple of other eucalyptus plants. I also added some metallic watercolor, and I added something called soda ash, which acts as a bleach. And once the cyanotype has been painted on, I can paint on the soda ash, and it pulls out and acts as a toner. And it's interesting because it also gives me a sense where I can actually see the veins and the stem of the plants. And so I like that a lot. And I like the fact that as I began using the soda ash, I thought, okay, maybe I'll splatter a little bit and see what happens. So it kind of gives me a very active surface. This was similar. These were also these are some young olive leaves and a couple of other smaller plants that I had collected. Same thing, I added soda ash, and here you can see 2 or 3 different layers of the plant and what happens underneath. So I've got this layering that occurs on the paper from the monoprint, from the cyanotype, from the metallic watercolor, from the soda ash. So I've created a really active surface, which is what I liked. This is kind of a triptych here, and I used the same plants, and I also added some collage when I did the monoprint. I added some Japanese paper, and you can see it darker here. But when I did the cyanotype on top of it, I added another piece. And so this is where it's lighter, and here it's darker. And again, you can see the layering. You see what happens underneath. The darker maple leaf here was the original monoprint. And then during the cyanotype process, I added a few other leaves on top. This one happens to be one of my favorites, but when I painted the cyanotype emulsion, I didn't do it evenly. And there was a whole section here that was just not, didn't get the paint and the emulsion, so it came out different. It was a gray monoprint. I also I've done this outside in my backyard. So when the emulsion was drying, the wind blew some of it off the edges. So that's why on some of these, you see the edges has this kind of light blue, faint hue on it, and that actually came from the wind. The same with this. These were sets that I found kind of interesting. These 2 were monoprints that I painted the emulsion on top. And again, you can see I kind of went over the edges here, but I loved the way it came out. And I did not use really anything else. I didn't use any metallics here, but I used a bit of color pencil. So I added some of the pink. I highlighted it because it was pink, but I gave it a little more oomph. This one here had no paint. This was only pressed leaves on the paper. It did not ink the matrix. So that's why this came out a bit lighter than what the other ones appeared to be. And these 2 were actually the very beginning. I had not done any of the monoprints yet. I was just starting to work on the cyanotype, and I put some leaves on, and then I ran out of paper. I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't have any more paper, so I picked up some of the monoprints that I had in the drawer, painted that with the emulsion, and I just went crazy. I loved it. I loved what happened to it. I loved the edges. I loved the layering. And so that's kind of how this series began. Also had a variety of different kinds of processes. These two were so green, and I had gone way over the edges, and it didn't excite me as much as some of the others. So I added some collage paperwork to both of these. And this one I liked a lot because as I had printed this, the original monoprint, you can see the leaves, you can see the veins and the flow of the pattern of nature here through this piece. I like this one a lot. This one I used some color pencil again, some pink. I kicked it up. Again, the edges are rough and active. This one I used more soda ash, I think, than any of them. I had a piece of the collage paperwork up there, but I just pulled the bleach on that side, and I loved the movement of the maple leaves. So this I had originally thought that I would open up and have it stand up, but it wasn't strong enough. The paper was just too heavy on here. So we hung it up, and I loved it. I had put some botanicals on Japanese paper, and I used a bit of the soda ash again, and I glued them down. And I like it. I love the way it looks. A planter. I took 4 canvases, and I had created some extra monoprints and some cyanotype. Put it on. I like that too, because all I see is blue. Name of my show. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for listening to my explanation about my show. I hope you like it. All I See is Blue at Tag Gallery. Thank you.